Ladies and gentlemen, this is All Things Pro Wrestling with your host, Danny Haro.
And Mike Larkin, host of On the Mic with Mike and contributor to Capital Championship Wrestling.
Today, we are doing the preview show for NXT's Great American Bash this Sunday, July 30th at the HEB Center at Cedar Park, Texas, 8 p.m. start time.
Oh my goodness.
Let's get into it.
Oh my goodness, dude. It's one of those things too, and my apologies for cutting you off, but I look at it from a stance too as well. When you think of the Great American Bash, you think of WCW, you think of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. You think of what we saw many a times within WWE since they started doing the Bash and Great American Bash as pay-per-views. Now it's adopted as NXT and in Cedar Park, Texas, and what is one of Americans' finest as far as professional wrestling goes. You think of world-class championship wrestling. You think of the state of Texas. You think of Booker T. You think of Roxanne Perez, who is on this card. There's no better place for territories and just professional wrestling than the great state of Texas, my friend.
You said it. And talking about Roxanne, we can just get right into it.
Yes, sir.
We have Roxanne versus Blair, right?
Yep, Blair Devin.
I'm very interested in this match. I feel like this match has the potential to steal the show. I'm going to put the pressure on you for a bit. Who takes this match?
Ooh. Now, you're in Roxanne's backyard here. You're in Texas, so a lot of people would say we got to go with the hometown girl. I mean, for me, you look at Blair Davenport and what she's done. I mean, she's wrestled in NXT UK. She's one of the ones that's really been one of the staples towards the end of the NXT UK run. She had great matches with Meiko Satomura there for the NXT UK Women's Championship. She's really held her own, and then we've seen her at When Worlds Collide with her, with Mandy Rose, with Meiko Satomura, really unifying the titles there. She's one that's always really stood out. You know, one of the newer talents in WWE, went away due to injury. Now she's back. I mean, with everything that was influx there, she came over from the NXT UK side of things. She came out strong, attacking women like Nikita Lyons and Wendy Chu and so many others, including Roxanne Perez, really looking to make her mark in the NXT women's division. And I mean, we saw this matchup 2 weeks ago. Blair got the win, and then we saw the split screen interview 2 weeks after that. Roxanne talked about unleashing that new side of her, that rage, letting it out because Blair Davenport has got so under her skin. So for me, I think these two are going to have a great dynamic. Like you mentioned, I think this is a potential show stealer. But if I had to pick between the two, I would say the obvious one would be to go with Roxanne Perez being the hometown girl, and she's going to showcase that vengeful side, if you will. It's like Korn, it's evolution, it's controlling her mind, that dark side, if you will. And then you got Blair Davenport, but it's tough for me because I don't see Blair going up 2-0. I could see Roxanne here, and then we see the rubber match on either NXT or the next NXT special. So my pick here is the hometown girl, Roxanne Perez. Even though it is tough, I got to go with Roxanne on this. Who are you going with, Danny?
So they always say go with the hometown hero, if you will. And I'm a big fan of Roxanne and what she's been able to do so far. But Blair is such a great talent as well, like you said, from even her work in the UK. I'm gonna go with Roxanne. So I think we're on the same page with that. I feel like WWE might give it to Blair, but my official pick for this match is going to be Roxanne.
I mean, when you have a group like Sting and the Police, to make a pop culture reference, talk about Roxanne, you don't have to put on a red light. I mean, who can blame that, right? But that's one of the things too. I mean, how can you blame us on that? But no, I think with Roxanne Perez, I think we're slowly starting to see, like we mentioned, that edge coming out of her. And I think this will lead to another matchup between the two ladies. Keep it hot, keep it fresh. But also at the same time, it's different because Roxanne, we've seen her in contention and has been the NXT Women's Champion. So it's a nice way of her to go this way, and then we trajectory back to her going for the championship. So I think it's a breath of fresh air and something new for the fans that we really haven't seen before, you know?
I agree. All right. So we covered that match. Michael,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to let you pick the next match you want to talk about.
All right, let's go with Tiffany Stratton and Thea Hale for the NXT Women's Championship. Oh my goodness, that young go hard, that prodigy of Thea Hale. What I love about her too is a part of Chase University, that young 18, 19-year-old signing out of WWE right out of high school, man, and really just becoming that so a boisterous, but yet hyper, but yet so determined. She's such, I mean, we've seen her with Shawn Michaels. She's such a good listener. She works so hard. And I think she has the right look for it. You know what I'm saying? She debuted the Kimura with Charlie Dempsey, William Regal's son, and Drew Gulak. You know, we saw that influx with that feud with them and Chase U. And we saw just what she learned there, but also at the same time, Andre Chase coming back and showcasing that feud with Chase U and, like I mentioned, Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak. So she learned some submissions. She had her in the Kimura in their previous matchup for the NXT Women's Championship, but Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak got involved, distracted the ref. Duke Hudson was in there. And while she did have the Kimura in and she did tap, the ref didn't see it. And then Tiffany cheated, roll up with the tights for the win. So this time it's just a basic of rematch. You know what I'm saying? The chant of rematch, very pep rally style. And we got the rematch now. We saw her put Tiffany Stratton in the Kimura again. And it's a submission match as well. You think of the great submission matches. You think of Bret Hart and Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13.
Yeah.
You think of the ultimate submission matches. And I'm going to say the man's name just because of a wrestling standpoint. You think of Benoit and Angle from Backlash 2001. You think of so many great matches in that particular scenario, right? For me, man, it's tough because I could see a scenario where, you know, Tiffany Stratton is so locked in. Okay, I got to get out of the Kimura. I have to watch out for the Kimura. You're known here. You're trained to know, hey, she's got that Kimura. I got to watch out for it. But what if Thea Hale comes with something different? Maybe a rear naked choke, maybe something else. There's so many submissions that we can have here, Danny, that the possibilities are endless. Or do we see Tiffany Stratton maybe lock in like a single leg Boston Crab? Different single variations here. But if I had to pick with this one, oh man, this is kind of like a repeat of Roxanne and Blair. I could see them doing a rubber match between these two, and I really want Thea Hale too because I love her exuberance and excitement and energy. But I got to go Tiffany Stratton somehow, some way. I don't know if it's a tap out or if she passes out to the pain, but I think this is really going to be something that a lot of people are going to see that's going to be very special because Tiffany Stratton has it, Thea Hale has it. They're two young go-hards, man. But if I had to pick, I got to go with Tiffany Stratton. You know what I'm saying? And give her a little toodles to the end of Thea Hale's attempt at winning the NXT Women's Championship. So I got to go Tiffany Stratton other than retaining here.
So I agree. What I like about submission matches in general is the art of submission in wrestling because, like you said, there is countless submissions that could be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these are two young girls, right? Two young girls that, believe it or not, have something to prove, not only to the NXT fan base, but also who deserves to be in the main roster, who deserves to go up first, who deserves to face the Charlottes and the Rheas and the Bianca Belairs and the Becky Lynches, right? Because this match, the way I see it, is one of them is going to prove, hey, I deserve to be in the main roster, while the other one would sadly have to stay in NXT. I'm excited for this one too. And like you said, I got to go with Tiffany, and I'll even say this here, and I always look back to this. I really do believe. Well, both of these girls have it, in my opinion, but Tiffany is going to be like the next Becky or Charlotte, in my opinion. She's going to grow really quick, and I can see her in the main roster within the next few months as well. So my pick, the only pick, is Tiffany.
The only pick. I like your style, I like your verbiage, man. But no, I agree. I mean, the Charlotte comparison is nice just because she has that gymnastics background and she's so flexible and athletic. I think that's one of the things there. I could see maybe like a year time, we could see Tiffany Stratton on the main roster. I think they're grooming her. I know Shawn Michaels is very high on Tiffany Stratton. And I mean, Thea Hale is another one. Like if she broke away from Chase U, I think she do fine, much like how the Creed brothers are no longer with Ivy Nile because of the loser leaves NXT match. Like Ivy Nile has such potential. I think that's the best thing you can say about NXT now with the Shawn Michaels brand as it is potential. There's so many great potential there. And I mean, with the addition, I mean, we saw it online. Brian Pillman Jr. looks to be WWE bound. And I mean, you have a generational talent like Brian Pillman Jr. there, where you have a generational talent like Charlie Dempsey there and Braun Breaker. So you get to learn from them. You get to learn from so many people. And plus, Brian Pillman, the late, great Brian Pillman, was such a mainstay as a part of the Hart Foundation and in WWE and WCW as a part of the Hollywood Blondes with stunning Steve Austin. What? So, I mean, it's going to be really good to see how Brian Pillman does. So, the potential is the best way to describe what we're seeing with NXT, and especially with this show. So yeah, I'm really excited just to see the future of how we go this way, that way, what have you. It's all elements that I think a lot of people are going to take in and really exude and absorb. So yeah, man, that's my thoughts. So yeah, let's go to the next match.
Before we do go to the next match, I know you brought up Brian Pillman Jr. I am so happy to see, if the rumors are true, very happy to see that WWE is taking advantage of this. Um, I can say a lot. I'm a Brian Pillman Jr. fan, and not just because obviously of his dad. I've seen his work even on the independents before he even got signed to AEW. Uh, I was very upset with AEW. I don't feel like they used him the proper way. He is, in my opinion, a star with potential. I don't want to say big star, but he's a star with potential. He's shown his potential, and he's going to be a great addition to NXT if the rumors are true. And without a doubt, if the rumors are true, I can even see him in the main roster as soon as like next year, maybe. But I think this is a great pickup for WWE, who hasn't been picking up much people as of late, and whether that's because of the merger or whatever is going on. If this is their first pickup in a while, it's definitely a great pickup.
Oh, of course. And I'll add on to your point. I mean, you look at his work in MLW with Teddy Hart and David Hart Smith with the Hart Foundation 2.0. Like you mentioned, MLW, AEW with him and Griff Garrison as the Varsity Blondes. I mean, I was happy to see him on TV, but I'll say it straight up and down like 6 o'clock. They didn't get a lot of the exposure that they should have. And I mean, he pretty much was roped into a gimmick that was very, with the name like the Varsity Blondes, very similar and acquiescent and equates to the Hollywood Blondes that him and Stone Cold, Stunning Steve Austin, were WCW. But it wasn't different. You know what I'm saying? It was like think of it like it's the jocks. It's like the quarterbacks of the football team with their Leatherman jackets. So I mean,
Yeah.
it was a nice little influx there. But again, you had Julia Hart, who's an amazing talent, and we've seen what she's gone on to do with the House of Black. But yeah, they kind of got lost in the shuffle there. And I mean, you saw something like a brief inkling, but then nothing. So I mean, it's a fresh start for Brian Pillman Jr. And when you're going to the Performance Center, you're going to an amazing training facility and learning from some of the greats, because that's the big thing about wrestling too, the minds absorbing and taking in that knowledge. I think the sky's the limit for BPJ, aka Brian Pillman Jr. there. So I'm right there in the same ballpark as you.
Agreed. Let's move on to some tag team action. So we have Wolfgang and Mark versus the D'Angelo family, Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo.
Couple stew nods here in the Gallus. You know what I'm saying? There's couple stew nods for those of my Italian peeps up in here. Let me say this about this. I love the fact that they set him up, because who's the rat is Stacks the rat. They plan this whole thing just to get close to, the Gallus and get their guard down, if you will. And I mean, yeah. Tony D'Angelo got free. Stacks beating Joe Coffey. They had the nice little celebration there. And then, I mean, how can you not love them? Because they almost won it at Stand and Deliver, but Joe Coffey, that Stunad, that Paisan, that Fugazi, got it cost them the match. I love the mob gimmick. I think it's great. It's very Sopranos. But that's what's great about it too. The character development, and the dude can wrestle. Stacks is another one who's very underrated. And the Gallus boys, man, where do I begin here? NXT UK, we've seen a lot of their work in Insane Championship Wrestling, taking on the likes of Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. They've taken on everybody there, from Gallus and the whole, the grizzled young veterans, aka the Schism now, Zach Gibson and James Drake. I love what they're doing here, man. Like everything that goes into what we saw their tag team in NXT UK. I mean, they've taken on Mustache Mountain here in the WWE on the NXT side of things. We've seen them against so many great tag teams, the New Day, Stacks, and D'Angelo, and so many others, and the Creed brothers. Like, I'm excited for this matchup, because this could be finally where Tony D'Angelo and Stacks Lorenzo win the NXT Tag Team Championships, and I think the place would go nuts and end the reign of Gallus. But for me, it's so interesting, because I think if you really want to have the big payoff after everything, getting Tony out of jail and everything that encompasses that storyline, I got to say the D'Angelo family win it. And for me, if there's any title change on this show, I would have Stacks and D'Angelo finally get what they've been wanting for so long, especially since Stand and Deliver, those NXT Tag Team Championships. And I love Gallus to death, but if they lose, it doesn't hurt them one iota, one bit. But if I was to have a title change, I would have it right here, that being the D'Angelo family. So I'm going with my gut. I'm going with who I want, that being the D'Angelo family, to become the new NXT Tag Team Champions.
I think for this card so far, we've agreed on everything.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline is perfect, literally a pitch perfect storyline. And like you said, if they want to have the great payoff option, I'd have the D'Angelo family win as well. So that's my official pick, and not changing my mind on that one. The D'Angelo family for the win is definitely something I agree on, and I'm very excited to see that match as well. And hopefully after the match, we can see the hashtag and new trending on Twitter and have some new champions.
Oh, agreed. And I mean, I've seen people complain about the gimmick, and I'm like, hello, we had the full-blooded Italians in ECW and then the WWE.
Yep.
That's just what it is. And I think what I love about it too, it's the character development. Like I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, okay, we got like I mentioned, Sopranos vibes. Like, where are we going with this? But he's just run out the gate of like, okay, this is me. I'm Tony D'Angelo. He's adapted to this character, and Stacks is invested. You're invested into them, and they became so organic among the NXT universe and the NXT crowd. Like, how can you not cheer for them? Because they got over themselves. And I mean, we've all known gals from NXT UK, and for those that follow NXT UK to the main roster here in the States, it fits so well, and they are just so white hot right now. I mean, you remember in 2016 and 2015 where everybody loved Enzo and Cass in NXT. They
Yep.
want to see them beat the Revival for the NXT tag titles. It's lightning in a bottle, so why not strike right now and have them win the tag titles, right?
I agree. You literally with the comparison of Enzo and Cass, really put the great comparison there. We have one match left from what we know, and I'll let you start that one off.
So it is Carmelo Hayes against Ilya Dragunov for the NXT Championship. So Ilya Dragunov beat Braun Breaker to become the number one contender. And here's why I like this, Danny. It's fresh, and also I love the feud with Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker, but let me tell you something. You can't just keep doing it over and over again. Take a little break and we'll come back to it. So Ilya in the mix here, because he's always been the mix. That was his main goal since coming to NXT. He wanted to become the NXT champion. Ilya Dragunov, one of the best doggone bouts, if you've not seen it, in NXT UK with Walter at the time, now Gunther, for the NXT UK championship. He's wrestled Jordan Devlin, now JD Drake over there. He had a great feud with him. Ever since coming to the States, he's hit on all cylinders. And I think this match with Carmelo Hayes will be no different. He is him, as he states. Trick Williams is hype man. He's had great matches with Braun Breaker. He's hit on all cylinders ever since coming to NXT, former North American champion, cruiserweight champion. He's faced them all. And I'm going to say right now, him and Baron Corbin had a hell of a bout not too long ago. And I think right in the back of my mind, I'm hoping that we get Carmelo and Finn Balor, because Finn Balor being one of the longest NXT champions for about there. And plus, you have the Judgment Day now with Dominic as a North American champion, Judgment Day being infiltrated on all shows, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. So for me, I think that's what I want in the back of my mind, to still do Carmelo and Finn. I think right now this will be a hard-hitting contest, but I think it's too soon for Ilya to win the NXT championship. Have the chase. Let it go on for a little bit more, because again, it doesn't hurt Ilya because he had such a strong outcome with Dijak, who we'll get to as we might think of what else is going to be added. But for this particular matchup right here, right now, Jesus Jones, to quote the 90s and pop culture reference, I'm a nerd, I know, folks. I got to go Carmelo Hayes. He is him, man. Hit him with that axe kick. Boom. That slam dunk right off the top rope. 1, 2, 3. Carmelo Hayes gets the victory over Ilya Dragunov. I love it, man. He's in the paint. He's in the paint, hard in the paint, like it's NBA ballers up in here. I digress. Carmelo Hayes, NXT champion, retention.
So we literally have the same picks for this entire card so far, which I like. Because it just leaves an amazing review show after NXT has aired. Carmelo is him. What else is there to say? He is him. He's proved he is him. Ilya is one heck of a competitor, one heck of a talent. Banger matches. To kind of go back to what you said, we can't keep having Carmelo against Braun. It getting repetitive kind of reminds me of what they do on the main roster when you have the same people fight each other 8 times in a row on 8 different pay-per-views, and you're kind of like, all right, when are we going to see something refreshing? So I feel like Carmelo should win, continue the storyline with Ilya, so that way you also give Braun a little break and people could kind of forget, like, oh yeah, they were, Braun was, feuding with Carmelo as well. You can kind of refresh that chapter later on at a different NXT special. And like you said, I don't think this hurts Ilya at all. And yeah, my pick is Carmelo. He is him. I feel like he'll always be him. And I don't see the title being taken off of him here. I think Ilya should wait a little bit longer before he can win that title. And yeah, so I'm going with Carmelo. And just to talk about what you brought up earlier with the Judgment Day and Dominic, just to kind of step away from Great American Bash real quick. Let's go back to the Great American Bash. We kind of covered all the matches we know for now. Obviously, as we're recording, it is Monday. We still have the go home show, which will be tomorrow. Anything we did miss, we'll talk about in the review show. So let's just, since we're talking about NXT anyways, let's kind of talk NXT.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on Dominic's win becoming champion?
He's a heat magnet, man. It's a heat magnet. I love it just because how pissed everybody was. And it's like, oh my God, how shocked. Well, here's the thing. You listen on Raw tonight, folks, the boos that he got, just walking around, just shining it up like he's the man. Like, you want that. He defended tonight against Sami Zayn, and he cheated because of Judgment Day interference, and he beat Pete Dunne on SmackDown. You need that. And I mean, if you're going to have anybody in Texas, you want to see him get beat. And I think that's what we're going to have here, because it was originally supposed to be Wesley and Mustafa Ali for the North American title. If you do a triple threat with Dominic, Mustafa, and Wesley, because Wesley, of course, wants his rematch, and Mustafa is going to be like, hey, what the hell, man? I was supposed to be in this match. I think it would add, I think that's what they're going to add, as a nice triple threat to that matchup. And I mean, going back to Ilya, like with Ilya and Braun Breaker, I could see Braun Breaker costing Ilya or something of those lines, because Braun and Ilya still have unfinished business. But if you wanted to add a match, I'd do Dominic, Wesley, and Mustafa, because I think it would be off the chain, and he gets to work with a lot of great competitors. And they both have a case. And I mean, you also see on the other side of things, if they wanted to add it, Dijak and Eddie Thorpe. I mean, Dijak just came off a hell of a feud with Ilya Dragunov. Eddie Thorpe just had that NXT Underground, very reminiscent of the Raw Underground match with Damon Kemp, who was formerly of the Diamond Mine. Like, Dijak and Eddie Thorpe, sign me up, because Eddie Thorpe has proven himself. I mean, you also have the Heritage Cup with Noam Dar pretty much doing his best Weekend at Bernie's impression. He's so depressed. He's got the hat. He's not moving. He's in the wheelchair. Those are some options, but I think with the card that we have now, and I'm sure, like Danny said here, folks, we'll cover it in the recap of the show. But god dang it, man! Like, if you add 1, 2, or 3 of those matches, I think they'd add 2. If I was to add 2, I would add Dijak and Eddie Thorpe, and I would do a triple threat for the North American title. But Dominic, I love it. It's fun. It's a heat magnet. He's so over. You can't even let him talk. This is very equate to, and I'll mention this because of the family, when Vicky Guerrero used to come out, and she didn't even have to say anything. And when she hit that excuse me, people hated her. He has the Vicky Guerrero heat right now, is what I like to call it.
Yeah, I mean, just even watching clips of, they were in Mexico this weekend, just hearing the boos, and he's hated. And that's what you want as a heel. I mean, that just brings me back to when heels were actually heels back in the day. And nowadays, everyone's kind of scared to be a heel. And I just, even watching Logan Paul's show where he talks to Seth about how he was scared to be a heel because he didn't want to be hated on. I think the best way to be a heel is to be hated on. Those boos equals you're doing a very great job at what you're supposed to be doing. In terms of Dominic winning, I'm for it. In terms of, everyone was mad, no one liked it, everyone's on Twitter complaining, sitting behind the screen, just hating Dominic for being a great heel. There's a lot of potential storylines there. The only thing that confuses me, and this is as a fan, and I saw this on Twitter, so this is not me speaking, I saw this on Twitter. Rest in peace, the WWE draft, because you had a Raw talent defend an NXT title on SmackDown. What was the WWE draft even for? I saw that the other day, and I'm like, this makes perfect sense. One more time. You had a Raw talent defend an NXT title on SmackDown. So I'm just like, but if you're a real WWE fan, like, they will do the WWE draft, and then they'll never really stick to where the talent should be anyway. So it's not really a surprise, but I kind of found that funny how they got one person to kind of get all 3 brands in there at the same time.
All right, let me try to make sense of it, and I'm going to try really hard too. So Damian Priest has the Money in the Bank briefcase, right? So he can challenge any champion. So he's a part of the Judgment Day, and the Judgment Day goes where Damian Priest goes, and also Rhea Ripley. I mean, she's the Raw Women's Champion, but again, it's Judgment Day goes where Damian Priest goes, and I mean, having them on all three shows works. But yeah, it's like he's a Raw superstar, and they brought him to NXT, and because of the feud that they've been having with Carmelo, and of course Dominic has to get in there to go for the title because hey. But I mean, it gets more eyes on NXT because they've been doing great ratings with the Judgment Day coming in. It's almost kind of like how
Yeah.
the Bloodline was so dominant. Like, and I think when the Bloodline goes away, this is going to be the new top faction, that being the Judgment Day, if it isn't already. The way I can make sense of it is Damian Priest has the Money in the Bank. Judgment Day goes, they're all sticking to a pack. And I mean, yeah, I mean, he's being the North American champion. They were in Florida, which is NXT home based for
Yep.
SmackDown. So, I mean, you had a lot of NXT people, and Shawn Michaels was there. So, I mean, look who we wrestled. Butch, Pete Dunne, who was a NXT homegrown. So, I mean, I can try to make sense of it, but yeah, that is very true. I mean, if you know WWE, when there's a draft, most likely 9 times out of 10, or almost 10 times out of 10, they're not going to stick to it. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Um. So that's my only thing with it. I love Judgment Day. I love what they're doing, and I actually agree with what you just said. When the Bloodline story is all said and done, which we're coming to that conclusion pretty soon, the Judgment Day will be the next big thing, or they're probably already the next big thing. We're seeing a kind of little, with Rhea accepting the match for Dominic tonight and the face he made. So I mean, will they even be around much longer as a faction is yet to be seen. Um, One thing we could agree on is even if the faction was to break up, uh, they can all hold their own as singles. I mean, we already seen it with Rhea. She's been amazing as a singles. We've seen it with Damien. We haven't seen it with Dominic much, but I'm pretty sure after he got the heel patted down, the heel work patted down, we can see him succeed on his own as well. So I'm actually excited for that. Tonight was a little teaser, and I was kind of intrigued by what can actually go down and what can happen with the Judgment Day. And it just makes you want to tune in every Monday and see what's going on with them.
Oh, absolutely, man. And I think one other topic I did want to bring up, because like you talk about if it's true, like we mentioned Pillman Jr., because it looks like he is finalizing the WWE signing and the WWE brand and begin reporting to the training facility, the performance center, what have you, and going there to the NXT brand. But I got to bring up another one. There was rumors around an array, if you will. There's the correct word. There's rumors awry, if you will, the rumor and innuendo of Bray Wyatt possibly returning at SummerSlam. And I think the feud that they want to go with is him and Cody Rhodes. I think after the Brock is done, they might want to do him and Cody Rhodes, which somebody put on Twitter. The interesting parallels here. Well, mind you, both generational talents, Bray Wyatt's father and Bo Dallas's father, IRS, Mike Rotunda,
Yeah.
and their grandfather, Blackjack Mulligan. And Cody Rhodes, of course, Dusty Rhodes and Goldust Dustin.
Yeah.
One thing that I totally forgot that somebody pointed out, like in the second season of NXT, when he was Husky Harris, Cody Rhodes was his pro. And I totally forgot about that. So there's the tie-in there.
Yeah.
Luke Harper, Brody Lee, God rest his soul. That was his last feud in AEW before he passed with Cody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Cody and Bray would be very interesting just because of their history. And I think the promos would be amazing. What do you think about potentially Cody and Bray after the Brock Lesnar feud is done here at SummerSlam?
I think that would be a great way for Bray to really get back in the picture. I mean, especially if you're bringing, I know a lot of from what we know to our knowledge, a lot of problems with Bray has been creativity and storylines. And I feel like if you're gonna bring him back, having him come back against Cody is, one hell of a storyline, like you said. That was an amazing refresher, by the way. I totally forgot about those things. Um, if you play all that into storyline, I think him versus Bray can be a great matchup. And just they're both good wrestlers, and they're both Bray is amazing with promos, and so is Cody. So it's kind of have like just promo battles and um, probably just little like fights inside the ring before their official match and stuff like that. That's a match I would want to see, and that's even worthy. And this might be a hot take. That to me is even worthy of a co-main event um, kind of matchup, just because, like you said, just their families, the family ties that they have in there. Um, I'm for that match. I'm for that match.
I mean, the rumor as well is like he was going to get involved in one of the top three, either Cody and Brock, Seth and Finn, or I mean, I don't see him getting involved with okay, what was the other one? There's like a lot of three matcher. There's Seth and Finn. I don't see him getting involved in Roman and Jay. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
possibility just because like, oh, okay, Roman is the one who beat him as the Fiend, and then we're going towards the 1 year mark, payback in 3 years there. Like, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It
yeah,
doesn't fit with the story. Seth and Finn, I mean, you could go back to him and Bray and like, Hell in the Cell.
yeah,
But I'm like, if it were me, I would not rush him into a championship feud like that. I would give it time,
exactly.
let it breathing air. So I think Cody would be the best option to go after.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't see any reason why he would challenge for a title, especially after taking that much time off. Just also plays to what I'm always kind of talking about, where if a talent that big comes back and gets a title shot right away, it's kind of a slap in the face to everyone in the locker room who has been showing up every single Monday, every single Friday, every single Saturday, Sunday to the house shows. Um, so yeah, I feel like going into a feud with Cody would be his best option, not only for just Bray but Cody himself, because you have, obviously we don't know, but if you have Cody beat um, Brock, what would be next ideally for Cody? Um, Having him have a small feud with Bray would help both men. So like I said, I'm down for that.
Me too. And I mean, that's your review in wrestling. And I mean, for me, it's going to be exciting times for this show and the both of us because we're going to be doing the recap for the Great American Bash. And dude, look at this lineup of wrestling. We have NXT, the Great American Bash. We have SummerSlam. Then we have All In, and then All Out and Payback. Everything's kind of like meshed together, but it's worth it, man. There's a lot of good wrestling coming up.
Yeah, guys, that's the thing here for all things pro wrestling is we have a lot of wrestling coming up, and in between, we're gonna try to post our interview episodes, which we haven't had for about a month now. But as Michael here reminded me, it is all things pro wrestling. So we'll have some episodes about maybe our favorite wrestlers or like the Attitude Era or just an era in wrestling, or focus one episode on a specific talent. Um, maybe give our top five, top 10, have a discussion about those. Um, but just in general, like Michael just said, we have a lot of pay-per-views to cover within the next few weeks. So we're gonna be putting up more content out here for all things pro wrestling, and I'm excited, just like us two as wrestling fans, just to be able to sit down and talk wrestling. I mean, um, I'm very excited for what's to come, and it's gonna be a busy few weeks for us. But if it's wrestling, I'm down.
Same here. And I mean, if you guys want to check out this show, which you should, doggone it, check us out on Spotify, All Things Pro Wrestling, and the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button to All Things Pro Wrestling, and Twitter, All Things Pro Wrestling, and the same with Twitter, man. I mean, it's a great smorgasbord of what we're going to be talking about going forward. And especially, man, that All Things Pro Wrestling shirt. Y'all want to pick that up? Danny, those shirts look amazing, I might add.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna put them up soon. I still gotta send you yours. Gotta send some to some talent. And then eventually I'll put them up for sale. We don't make any money off this, guys, so we're not trying to make money off merch. I kind of more just would be happy to see people wearing our stuff and supporting the podcast. I mean, we do this because we love wrestling. A lot of people think maybe we do it for money, we do it for, you know, whatever. Truth be told, is we sit down here and you know, what is it, like 11 something at night right now? Probably almost
That's
12.
It's 12:30 at night as we're recording the show, folks.
Guys, it's 12:30 at night. I wouldn't be up right now because of money. I'm up right now because we love wrestling and we
Yep.
love what we do. And when I put those shirts up, guys, and it's not even going to be expensive. I'm not looking to make profit. I'm looking to see people support us, buy it, wear it at shows, wear it wherever. Send us pictures of you guys wearing it. The goal here is to grow all things pro wrestling, as I tell Michael all the time. And if you guys can help us with that, it'd be greatly appreciated.
We just appreciate each and every one that tune into these shows and that want to see more of this. I mean, I know you've surpassed the 100 mark for the All Things Pro Wrestling Instagram. So just keep on keeping on and keeping us growing, and just check out my YouTube, check out the All Things Pro Wrestling YouTube. There's a lot of great content on both of our ends, man. I'm just happy to keep doing this show with you each and every week, each and every time. So yeah, check us out, man. Because you won't be disappointed, because we got a lot coming up in store for y'all.
Yeah. And like, I can't wait to be on Michael's show eventually. You know, I take a big pride in being the owner of All Things Pro Wrestling, and what I've been able to build, and having Michael on the team has helped a lot. Truth be told, if it wasn't for Michael, the podcast might have been dead. I contacted him, and he was down to be the co-host, and All Things Pro Wrestling kept going. So I can't wait to, repay that favor by being on your show sometime, and, talk about maybe how I came up with All Things Pro Wrestling and stuff like that. But yeah, guys, I mean, we have so much content coming up to make up for, those days where we didn't have content up. I'm always trying to be active on Instagram. We're sponsoring a lot of people, which brings me to one thing. CCW, August 5th. Their anniversary show. They have a lot of great talent, a lot of great matches. If you're a supporter of All Things Pro Wrestling, I would definitely ask that you guys support them as well. Follow them on Instagram, CCW Action. And if you're from the New Jersey area, copy your tickets to that show, because it's going to be amazing. Great talent. You have the Renegade Twins. You have Christina Marie, Vicious Vicky, so on and so forth. Great talent all around. The main poster dropped today, and literally every single person in there is talented, and they all have a story. And just support your independent pro wrestler talent. So
I echo those sentiments, and check out everything that's coming on from the Capital Championship Wrestling side of things. A lot of great matches announced for Blood in the Sand that you should go out of your way. I mean, for God's sake, we got, like you mentioned, Harley Lopez and Gabby Ortiz. We have Rebecca Scott, Sarah Leone, and we got Becca for the Global Fighting Championship, and especially that main bout with Christina Marie, Delmi XO, and everything that's encompassed at that Fatal 4-Way. Go check it out. I'm really excited, man. I think, especially with such a short time that CCW has been around, Danny, it's been hitting on all cylinders. We got to shout out Marcello for that, and giving him the opportunity for us to do what we do, for what I do with Progression and Succession and the recap show, which will be coming out this week, and as well as the Progression Succession next week. It's a good time. It's a good time for indies, and support your local independent wrestling promotion, whether it be the Northeast or wherever you are located in state, city, what have you, as we'll get a little geographical here. Just go out of your way and support some independent pro wrestling, because there's nothing like indie wrestling.
I agree. And even if you can't make it out to the show, you're not from New Jersey, it's on titlematch.com. I believe they have an app as well. Blood in the Sand, their anniversary show for CCW, August 5th. Guys, if you can go, I'd suggest copying the tickets. I suggest having a night of wrestling. It'd be fun. You won't be let down. If you can't make it, titlematch.com.
Beautifully stated. And I think that will wrap this preview show up and more. We gave you a little bit more, folks. Talking some wrestling is only we can do, as the title of the show says. But yeah, that's all I got, man. Take us home, Danny.
Yep. Guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode. We'll be back with the review show, and maybe something else in between. But for now, this is All Things Pro Wrestling with your host, Danny Haro.
And Mike Larkin, CCW contributor and host of On the Mic with Mike.
Guys, have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.